What's going on, everyone? So welcome to my latest video. This is obviously my review for the 2002 film Adaptation. So Adaptation is a film that turns 20 this year, which gave me a pretty darn good excuse to finally sit down and review this film for you guys. Adaptation is a film directed by Spike Jonze, the same director that gave us Her, and of course Being John Malkovich, and is written by Charlie Kaufman, the same writer who did Synecdoche, New York, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, and many more. Writer and director collaborations oftentimes are something that we are known to as, film buffs to kind of lean towards. And I gotta say, Spike Jonze and Charlie Kaufman working together, always will lean towards. And hopefully they work together again in the future. But this is a film that I first saw was about 8 years ago. And I saw it because I loved Being John Malkovich. So I wanted to check out this director's other work. And I think at this point in time, I saw Being John Malkovich, and before that I saw Her. Her was technically my first Spike Jonze movie, and I really liked Her. And Being John Malkovich, I instantly fell in love with. So I was curious about Adaptation, and the first time I saw it, I really liked it. In fact, I remember buying it on DVD and watching it a couple times, showing some of my friends, and then finally picking up on Blu-ray. But I think on Blu-ray, I only watched it once. That is until yesterday, where I rewatched it, and I had rewatched it in like 3 or 4 years. I don't know why. For some reason, in terms of Spike Jonze movies, like this is one of those ones where I don't come back to quite as much. And after revisiting it, I gotta say, I gotta change that, because this is a really good film. This is the film starring Meryl Streep, Chris Cooper, Nicolas Cage, playing 2 roles, I might add. And for those of you that don't know, the premise is about the writer, Charlie Kaufman. That's right, this is a very meta film. It's about Charlie Kaufman literally in the stages of post-production, well, not post-production, in production of Being John Malkovich, and he's trying to come up with a new idea. He's trying to come up with an idea of a book called The Orchid Thief, and trying to somehow, some way make flowers the subject matter of a film. But at the same time, try to sidestep all the cliches that come with most movies. So, and on top of that, he has a brother, Donald Kaufman, who also is a writer, and he is inspired by his brother, Charlie. And together, they are both trying to focus on different movie ideas. Also, at the same time, Charlie Kaufman is trying to focus on this book. And in flashback, we have Meryl Streep and Chris Cooper, and stuff that happens with their characters. So this is a film that is quite interesting. It's a really well-written film. And not even just because of the meta humor or because of the great performances. I think it's just because of the fact of the matter is that the themes and messages are really good. What I got, big takeaway for me about this film was just simply put that we all are yearning for change. We are all yearning for, something that might be out of our grasp, something that, is unattainable. But then at times, if we keep working towards it and we attain it, at the same time, we might look back and say, well, I kind of missed that. I kind of missed what I had before that. And it's only until you lose something that you realize that, hey, that's things that I lost that. I actually really liked that, and I actually cared about that. And again, being vague with it, but I really liked that. And I think the film kind of hit that home with the ending. And for some reason, it just kind of washed over me this time around. Previous viewings, it didn't really hit me that way. I just kind of looked at it as like a, really well-crafted comedy that also just hits hard as a drama. But this time especially, it worked really well. The characters are fully fleshed out. Again, it's got a lot of meta humor that I think is hilarious, especially if you know things about the industry. And there's also some jokes that they make about Being John Malkovich, the movie itself, because again, you do see some of the behind the scenes of that movie, or at least recreations of that, I should say. So it's really fascinating. I also really liked Carter Burwell's score. I mean, this is a score that it's sparsely used, but when it is in the film, it really works quite well. There's an opening scene in particular, I think, that is one of the best tracks of the film from Carter Burwell, and that's the creation sequence where you have voiceover narration, which Brian Cox's character says is lazy in this film, but it's in this film. That's part of the charm of the humor of this film. But during that whole voiceover sequence, and you see, obviously the change of time and everything, you have Carter Burwell's track in it, and it's really effective. I think that really sets the tone of the film for you and really gives you an idea on what you're to expect. I will also say that all things considering, this is probably the most successful Charlie Kaufman film, I would personally say. Like, I feel like I could show this movie to really anyone and they'll probably appreciate certain aspects. Versus, something like Being John Malkovich or Synecdoche, New York. It's more of like an acquired taste for sure. But I think Adaptation, a lot of people will probably be able to appreciate it. And I feel like it's kind of under the radar these days. Like, yeah, it got nominated for 4 Oscars back in the day. And it did actually win for Chris Cooper's performance. Well deserved, I might add. But I feel like it's not really talked about that much anymore. And it's a shame because again, it's a really well-crafted film. Other thing I wanted to mention about this film is that the way it's shot, it feels very naturalistic in its approach. Like, it's not showy, it's not really like overly cinematic. It just feels very, very like bleak, very depressing looking, which also kind of matches the characters. Because even though I'm mentioning a lot about the humor, this is a film that's dealing with characters that aren't happy. They are very often depressed throughout the duration of this movie, and it shows with the color palette of this film and just the way it was shot, which I liked. But overall, Adaptation, I think it's a really, really well-crafted film. I wish that more people talked about it now, but as it stands, Adaptation is a really, really good film, and I personally will give Adaptation a... So yeah, guys, that's my review for Adaptation, spoiler-free, of course. Do yourself a favor, go out, check Adaptation. It's well worth your time. And if you have seen Adaptation, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Did you like it? Did you not? Let me know down below. And as always, guys, don't forget the subscription, notification bell, follow me on Letterboxd, and I will catch you guys later.